everyone. I am Dr. Lisa LaCON, and welcome to Urban Twos for Change. You are now in the Urban Suite. Oh my goodness, I can't wait until we really get into the nitty-gritty of this conversation tonight because I have a special guest. Oh, Miss Madam Divine. But before I do all of that, I have some housekeeping rules and things of that nature I have to go over first with you. And you all know the drill and everything. So no profanity, none of that. All right. My urbanites, we're very clean, very respectful here because guess what? We are sponsored by Blessed Ministries Incorporated, a workforce advantage agency in the state of New Jersey, the premier workforce advantage agency in the state of New Jersey. Yes, thank you, madam. And we work with various populations. We work with adults that have mental illness. We work with parolees. We work with adults with other disabilities. They may have physical disabilities. They may have cognitive disabilities, developmental disabilities. We also work with youth and getting them employed. So we work with a whole host of residents in the state of New Jersey. So for more information about who we are, you can go to our website at www.bmiworks.org. That is www.bmiworks.org. And also do me a favor. I always ask you this, like, share, and subscribe to this page. So tonight, I'm so excited because we have a special guest in the Urban Suite. And I was going to introduce, but I think she needs to introduce who she is and what she does to make the urban community feel good, right?
No shame at all tonight, and there's no question off limits. But what I would like to start off by doing is thank you, Dr. LaCON, for having me. It's going to be a pleasure tonight, and I hope to be back as a guest. And thank you so much, Urbanites, for having me as well. Like I said, let's make tonight fun, educational, and let's just be open. Come with an open mind, okay? So let me just give you a little bit background about myself and how I got into the field of pleasure devices and just pleasure education. I've been doing this for 21 years. I started out when I was blah, 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 blah. And, it started out as a hobby because my cousin and I used to do, Black art, shows in our, house. And so a friend of ours said, well, you guys have so much fun doing the art things. Why don't you mix the two? Showcase the art throughout the the house, and then let's just have some fun with some pleasure devices.
Okay,
and
pleasure devices.
The time that I started out with, their name had pleasure in it, or passion. If you get my drift, I'm not advertising for anyone. But yeah, so I was a part of a company, and then I said, well, man, I have to sell so many things to just get a few units. So I decided to do my research, and I got my own vendors, and I began to sell my own things and have my own parties, and everything went into my pocket. So I did this over the years with private parties. I have so many different clients that I cater to, people, who are in the LGBTQ plus community. I have blended parties. I have all kinds of parties in people's homes, and sometimes private, events where they rent out a hall. And, it's just a pop-up shop, and people come to my table, they ask all kinds of questions, and I educate them because I educated myself for over 20 years in this area. So that's a little bit about myself. I do have some inventory, but my stuff has been selling out.
Oh, okay.
But I am going to restock, some things that you see tonight, and some new things that
awesome.
people are interested in. So
now you call them pleasure devices, and I say sex toys. So sex toy, the reason why I call them sex toys is because I'm outdated. So pleasure devices. So I know some pleasure devices are considered sexual wellness also.
Yes.
So how is that? How are they sexually well to our being? What is?
Well, I mean, oftentimes, some of us who are older, we're not in relationships, but we still want to have that release. And
Mhm.
as you know, when you have a release, it releases endorphins.
So when
When
you
you
say release, you're talking specifically about an orgasm.
orgasms,
Yes.
touch, I
Okay.
mean,
Mhm.
you also get a release just by, touching your erotic zones. And sometimes it may not lead to an orgasm, but it feels good. You
Mhm. Mhm.
But yeah, most of the time when I say release, I'm talking about the orgasm.
Okay, all right. Now, also, I did research. It's from Grandview Research. They have a very interesting look on this because this is a $30 billion industry.
Yes.
$30 billion. Now, the thing is, 60% of the market size is female.
Yes.
Now, why do you think that is?
I believe that over the course of the years, our mothers and our grandmothers and our great grandmothers was were always told that, you know, it was our job to please the man or your partner, whomever that may have been, and to, deny ourselves. But
Hmm.
over the years, I found that with liberation, with the women's movement, with different shows like Sex and the City and,
Hmm.
and Living Single, that talked about these topics, it just became a norm. And now women are like, I'm a career woman, or I'm an entrepreneur. I may not have time for a full-on relationship, or there's too many games out here, or I just want to be safe. So we've gone to the place where we just want to please ourselves, and it's fun.
So, are these pleasure devices for women? Are they replacing men?
Some make that argument that they are replacing men, and oftentimes a lot of masculine men, the man's man will say, "Oh, I don't want to bother with that. It's replacing me." But if you
Mm.
have a partner that's open, you both could get pleasure from it.
All right. So, I have two questions based on that.
Okay.
One, how do you think men see these pleasure devices universally? And number two, how do you have a conversation with your partner that may not be familiar with pleasure devices?
Okay, so let's answer the first question. So,
Um,
universally, as a whole, I want to say the majority of, um, I want to say ethnic men, you
okay.
know,
Hmm.
are intimidated by it,
They are intimidated.
intimidated by it.
Okay. Mm.
Most of the time at these events and private parties, once they have a consultation with me behind closed doors or in a nook or corner, then
Hmm.
they're more open with when they're standing next to their partner, and they start
Hmm.
asking questions. And well, if I do this, can I hold it for her, or do I watch, or and many different questions, and then all of a sudden they become open. So I
Hmm.
really believe education is good,
Hmm.
but here's the thing, Dr. Lacan,
Hmm.
we have pleasure devices for men too.
Oh, so what do they have? I know they have some plugs and
Well, yes, they have that for that community, but they also have cock rings.
cock
Um,
rings.
yes,
Oh, or are they penis rings?
it's a penis ring,
It's a
but
penis ring. Now, what exactly will a penis ring do to a penis?
well, sometimes it will contract and hold it tighter. It makes the ejaculation, elongated.
So
Um, it
basically,
also
instead of men doing like, they'd be like,
That's the goal. Um, but they also have a small vibrator connected to it as well, which is
Mhm,
something called the bullet, and
mhm.
that stimulates the scrotum area. So
Oh,
it's
it's called the
very
bullet.
no, it's called a cock ring, but it has a vibrator connected to it. There are some that have
Oh.
vibrators connected to it. So they have pleasure devices for men as well that
Mhm,
you can use in conjunction with your partner.
mhm,
The experience and the exchange
mhm.
really, really good. Now, second question
The
was
second question is, how do you broach this conversation with your partner? Say, for instance, if I'm highly active in using these pleasure devices and I have a partner who may not be, broach that conversation?
Gently.
Okay.
Especially if you find that you have a partner that is shy or very masculine, of course you would do it. I often say pillow talk
Mm.
at night. Hey babe, what do you think about if I had a toy and we used it together on me?
Mhm. Mhm.
What do you think about that? Or what do you think about watching me?
Mhm.
How would you feel about that? Is that something that you're into? And either they're going to say yes or they're going to say no. If they say no, say, why is that? What are you thinking? If they say, well, what do you need me for? I need you to hold it
Oh, ooh. Oh.
while we use it.
Ooh, all right now.
Give me,
Oh, interesting. Oh my goodness.
yeah,
So I know during COVID,
yes,
the numbers of users spiked tremendously,
yeah,
especially in the e-commerce world.
yeah.
And then according to the same research, they were saying that projected 2028, instead of it being currently it is a $30 billion industry, in 2028 in the United States alone, it is expected to be a $50 billion industry just in 7 years.
And that's just only the pleasure devices. That's not even talking about the full adult industry.
Right.
Okay, so
Exactly.
we're only tipping the iceberg of the conversation of
Hmm.
what adults use for pleasure,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
So I do believe that, and here's why. And here's why it's so big in COVID. So many people were afraid to come together,
Mm.
especially those of us who are single, because how do you meet somebody in COVID? You Did
Right.
like, you ask them, "Did you get COVID? Did you take
Right.
the
Right. Uh-huh.
did you quarantine?"
Right. Right.
It was really, shaky. And right before the height of COVID, before, the mandate to go home and quarantine, I was at many different events and my stuff was selling, just selling like hotcakes. That's why I have a very small quantity in my inventory. And then of course COVID hit, and then shipping and stuff was slowed down with
Right.
China and everything.
Mhm.
So, I'm stuck with what I have, but I still had my clients calling me like, well, could we have a meetup? Like, I'll stand
Right.
6 feet apart, you just throw it to me, and I'll cash app you the rest. So, but yeah, I definitely still had people contacting me needing and wanting the devices. Some
Mhm.
couples, some single ladies, had a couple guys,
Mhm.
so yeah.
So this industry is really driven by our fantasies in a sense,
Mhm.
because
And
I think when you, huh? What'd you say?
I said, and need.
Yes, because it's really interesting because, and I always tell people when it comes to sex, it's really mental.
Yeah.
Like, who you're thinking about, who you're with, and as we discussed, before, that it's an exchange of spirits, an exchange of souls, it's an exchange of
Energy.
all these things. Energy, yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the things that I would like to know is, in terms of from a behavioral health perspective,
Yeah.
how do you talk to someone that may be um kind of reluctant to use it, and they may need a better sexual wellness, whatever, in their treasure chest, in their toolbox or whatever?
Right. Well, it depends on what's the hesitation. Is
Okay.
is your hesitation because you're just shy? Is it that you're uneducated about
Mhm.
what possibly is good for you and what you could possibly use? Or is it a trauma,
Mhm.
that happened in your past? So it could be a number of things. So when I have done consultations with couples,
Mhm.
and one or the other, sometimes the females are hesitant. Sometimes the guys come straight up, to my booth, and they're like, "Yeah, what we gonna pick out?" And she's sort of kind of, squeamish. So
Mhm.
definitely, I say, well, when it's private, come back. We'll have a full consultation, and maybe we can pick out something that you both may like. But during that consultation, I ask probing questions.
Mhm. Like what? Like,
Like, are uninhibited with him normally? Are you shy? Or what have been your experiences? And why are you averse to a pleasure device or just, using it with him?
Mm-hmm.
And, I do ask questions like, do you masturbate? Do you know where your G spot is? Do you look at yourself? Do you examine yourself?
Right.
And these are questions to the woman. And, if she's the shy party in the situation, and then I get those answers. And then once I get the answers that I'm seeking and I'm hearing for, that's when I could suggest something small. Start with like a clitoris, stimulator, opposed to something that's both, a penetrator and a stimulator. So normally when I have reluctant individuals who just want to ease their way into it, I usually recommend the stimulator, the vibrators.
So you do more than just sell these devices. You really educate your consumers on, the ins and outs of it, from a mental component to the sexuality component and things of that nature.
Yes, I do.
And that's what they need, right?
That is what they need. It's important. I mean, sometimes you just have couples that already are into it. They just know, they just like, which one is the best one, and
let me ask you something. What is the kinkiest thing you've ever seen? Now I have my drink. I have my chocolate milk. So I need to find out what's the kinkiest thing you've ever seen.
I have mine too.
All right. So a toast.
Okay. So one of the kinkiest parties and shows that I've ever been to was one where I was invited into one of my friends' home who's in the LGBTQ plus community. They had a blended party. It was for, everybody on the spectrum, heterosexual, LGBT plus, non-binary, polyamorous, open, swingers. Everybody was at this party. And so I got a lot of requests for different types of pleasure devices or, sex toys that I did not have, in my inventory. So I went, doing my research, looking for what they were requesting. And what I found was you have so many things to choose from. Like you have human body parts. Like a man can have a soft, subtle vagina, if
say that again.
If you don't want a whole blow up doll, he could just have that.
Right.
Yes. They have the butt, the anus part for those men who are gay. And then one thing that I saw that this young lady, she's into the I guess the S&M community.
Okay.
There was a penis of one of the porn stars, and you can, like, it's like a suction cup, and you put it in the shower, and while you're in the shower, you pleasure yourself. Yep. So those were some wild things that night that they asked for, and I said, sure, I'll order that. Next time we come together, next time you have me out for an educational event, at your home, I'll have everything for everyone.
Now you mentioned something about spectrum. Now, outside of the sexuality spectrum, is there a difference in toys? Because I've seen people like robots, sex dolls, like human life. Is there a different category? Like, how do you categorize these?
I wouldn't say you categorize it. I think they're all pleasure devices.
Okay.
That's what I call them. That's what the educators that educated me call them now. But you do have, you can have anywhere from a life size and a device that looks like a person, feels like a person, and it's real. The pulsation, they even
so they no longer look like this.
No. They look like us, and then they even have, for women, they have the penises that vibrate with the veins, and they warm up now. They're no longer cold and plastic.
What?
Yes.
Vibrating warm up penises. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Men, y'all listen, men, y'all got competition. A warm, vibrating, veined penis that stays erect for how long?
ever.
Oh,
As long as you could take it.
oh,
Hey.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This is really incredible because this world seems like there's so many things that you don't know that happens, when we go to sleep, and people, it's said that 53% of Americans have used a sex toy. So
Yeah.
if you talk to 10 people, at least 5 of them have used pleasure devices. I still say sex toys. I'm sorry, because this is not my area, but
Hey, you say what you want to say. Sex, it don't matter. It all do the same thing.
right.
It gets you where you gotta go.
So what is the most popular one?
It depends on your preference. Like I have people. Well, I'm going to be showing you my devices in just a second. We can get into that in just a minute, and then I'll give you a little bit of description of why people choose what they choose.
Okay.
And like what they like. Some women, and I'm going to say this since we're talking about women and is it replacing men? Some women just totally just like the stimulators, and those are the vibrators.
That's the stimulating the clitoris.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And then some women, they want both.
Mhm.
And there are devices that do both at the same time.
So it
And
has a little thing like that,
it's
like
a bit.
yeah, right,
I'll
yeah.
show you in a minute.
And there's
Well, I mean, I could show you as I'm
oh
talking.
yeah, we see, yeah, definitely. That would be
So
awesome.
this is one of the ones
Oh, what?
that
I
does.
thought it was a shoe.
No, no, no.
Oh, look.
This
All
is-
right. So what do you do with that?
So this is the part that stimulates the clitoris, and then this is in the vagina.
Oh, so you
And
get this kind of movable, right?
yeah, it's movable. It could be used underwater in the shower,
Okay.
underwater.
Battery operated?
Um, no, rechargeable.
Oh.
USB. Take it anywhere. Quiet, discreet.
Oh, so it's not a loud vibrator thing.
It's not loud at all.
Mhm.
Actually, you can't even hear that.
I can't hear it. No.
Very discreet.
Oh.
It has 7 settings.
7 settings.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, Lord. Okay. Now, how do you wash it?
So I would say a nice mild antibacterial soap
Uh-huh.
for them. And here's another clitoral stimulator along with a penetrator. So this is another.
Oh, that looks like a little hammer.
It'll hammer it out.
No!
Well, and then this is where that you like if you just want to do the clitoris stimulation here or even here, and then you can insert.
But you can't do that at the same time like the other one.
No, no, no.
Because that one is straight. It doesn't bend.
Right, it doesn't bend. So
And is that battery operated or are you
nope, it rechargeable.
rechargeable USB type of thing? I
Yeah,
wonder if some Bluetooth. Do they have Bluetooth technology for these things?
they do. They actually do. They
Hmm.
have wireless where I will tell you one of the hot sellers, and I don't have any more of those for couples. The woman would put on a pair of underwear or a contraption to put inside. It's like a butterfly inside her underwear.
Mm-hmm.
The husband or the partner has the remote control across the room.
Oh. So he would watch her across the room become excited and stimulated.
Yes, yes.
Oh. But some people like to just watch.
Yeah. Some people just like to watch. Some guys who, they're like, no, I ain't gotta touch it, but I want my woman to do it, and then that does it for them as a couple. And then they get into the rest of it, the rest of their evening.
So during the holiday, in terms of shoppers, you see husbands, men shopping for their girlfriends, wives.
Yes.
And
Yes. I had at an event, I had a group of guys, there had to be 5 of them at my table. And they all bought things for their girlfriends or wives or significant others.
wow.
And then they bought the significant others back the following week Came up to the women came up to my table and said, "Thank you, girl."
Wow.
They just they described their women to me, and I picked out stuff for each of them.
So, like, how would they describe it? Like, give me an example.
Well, you guys don't know any of these people. So one of the guys was very, very outspoken and loud, and he was like, "I got a wildcat. Give me the best you got on the table." And I'm like, "Okay, describe a wildcat." And he described some of their sexual things. They had done it in public, and he was like, "She's totally uninhibited." So I suggested this one for them.
Okay.
This was one of the ones. And then another one, I suggested this one. This is similar to something called a rabbit.
Oh.
Right? So this could be used both ways.
That looks like a cactus that died. Look.
Okay. So when I say that this could be used both ways, I mean, this could be massaging the clit and the vagina, or vagina and anus.
Oh my goodness. Oh Lord. Oh my.
If you're into that.
And that is USB as well?
Yes, this is USB as well.
Wow. So how do you wrap them when you go traveling? What do you is it a box you put them in, or?
Well, sometimes I sell silk pouches. Very discreet, usually black. Sometimes people want pink. But yeah, silk pouches, or if you want to put it in your box and just wrap it up, that's fine. But let me tell you, they're very discreet. I mean, if you're going to check your bag and they're going to x-ray it, they're going to see it. But most of the time, if you do a carry-on, nobody really knows.
Wow. So in terms of how did, I know how you got started, but how did you first in your lifetime get introduced to these toys?
I'm be honest with you, and I hope my family's not watching.
No. Oh.
When I was a little girl, I was being nosy in my mom and dad's room. And those old-fashioned white ones that got all kinds of ribs and bubbles and all kinds of things on it that you twist at the bottom. I found that in her room. And she walked in on me.
She walked in on you.
Playing with it.
Oh my God. You thought it was like a Barbie doll.
I thought it was a toy. I really did. I thought it was and she was mortified. And so later on, I asked her, "Well, why did you get so mad? Like, what is it?" And she literally sat down and talked to me about it. And she had all these encyclopedia books for human sexuality and sensuality. And she sat me down and showed me the pictures of the body parts and the this and the that. And she explained it to me as a 12-year-old. This is what this is.
Wow. Now, why do you think there's so much stigma when it comes to sex, number one, and then stigma when it comes to pleasure devices? So the first one, why do you think there's so much stigma when it comes to sex and people feel awkward and uncomfortable talking about sex?
Well, I mean, I come from a spiritual background, and I'm just going to put it out there, and I hope I don't offend anyone. Oftentimes, I mean, I was born and raised in church, okay? And oftentimes, the ministers and when you grow up reared that way, sex is bad. It's only for making children and not pleasure.
Right.
But I don't believe God would have created a clitoris and endings and all kinds of stuff in the men where it would not feel good. So obviously we have these parts and these things for pleasure.
Right.
So I mean, in some countries, and it's a stigma for a woman to have pleasure. Like we all know, what happened in Africa with them cutting off the girl's clitoris because they felt like women should not have pleasure. It's only meant for it to be the pleasure of a man. Right. And we all know that that's not true. Women are becoming very, very liberated. Hence, why we are the biggest, buyers in this industry.
Wow. And then why do you think there's so much stigma with pleasure devices?
Once again, sin. It's cloaked in, oh, that's just sinful. That's just bad. Okay. A little boy or even a little girl explain find themselves in a bathtub when they were little, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and you walk in your child is masturbating in a tub. What's your first knee-jerk reaction? That's bad. Don't do that. And then it creates a stigma and a seed that is planted in us. Pleasuring yourself is bad. Sex is bad. Anything that's going to help you feel good, a pleasure device, is bad. So it's ingrained in some of us early on, and in some cultures. Let me just put it that way. It is ingrained in some cultures and taboo early on. Look, I'm going to tell you, I got an 11-and-a-half-year-old son, and he discovered himself a couple years ago, and I walked in it, and I was like, oh, close the door the next time. I mean, let mommy knock, you know. And he giggled and laughed, but I did not make the experience a bad experience. I didn't say, oh my God, what are you doing, TJ? Oh, should have said his name. But you know, I mean, you know, it's not bad. It's not a bad thing. It's just
right. And I get that, because like you said, the knee-jerk reaction is stop, don't do that. That's bad. And then you planted that seed that sexual, you know, exploration of your body and of yourself is bad because of that one incident.
Yes.
Rather than sort of embracing and then having it be an educational moment.
Exactly.
For that child.
And I think that that's why I'm so open to this day, because I had such a mother who, she was strict. Don't get me wrong. She didn't want us to, you know, come home and, you know, have babies, or, you know, she prepared us. She said, look, it's more than just babies out there. There's STDs. There's this.
Right.
There's that. And so she wanted to have us be well equipped, because she was a teenage mother, and she wanted us to know, you know, and understand on all levels what a sexual experience was all about.
So in that situation, okay, I need you to repeat that in terms of talking with your child, just in case someone, you know, walks in on their child doing something like this. How should you, once again, sort of have that conversation?
Okay. No matter what, you're going to be shocked. I was shocked, but I was shocked, like, I'm laughing shocked. You know, I'm just a different kind of mom. I'm a different kind of person. So I was like, okay, you know. So once he finished, and I was like, okay, hurry up and take a shower so we can get dressed and go. We had to leave, so I couldn't talk to him in that moment.
Okay.
So when we had quiet time after dinner, time to go to bed, I just sat on the edge of the bed and I said, what do you think that is? What do you think you're doing? And he doesn't know. He just knows that it feels good.
Right.
So he's like, I said, does it feel good? He was like, he's laughing because he's embarrassed, you know. He shakes his head, yes. I said, well, listen, there's nothing wrong with it. Just make sure you close the door. You know, and you know, if you have any questions, let me know. So when the time comes when he's a teenager, 14, 15, 16, 17, his dad is going to have the talk with, you know, about condoms and girls and all of that stuff. But for right now, he's at that age where boys are just going to be boys, or children are going to be children, and they're just going to explore themselves.
Right. And the boys, you see the old hard paper towels in the stiff paper towels by their bed.
Yeah, or the longer showers you're in the bathroom in the water.
Boys are so cute. Oh Lord Jesus. But that's true, because I think even for me, I found out about the power of the clitoris when I accidentally touched it as a kid. I was like, ooh, it was like, what is that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I was afraid of it because I didn't know if I would explode. You know, I didn't know I just knew it felt. I just knew it felt good.
It felt good, you know.
It felt good. Yeah. I'm like, what is this? And I didn't know if I did it too long that I was going to urinate on myself, because it kind of feels like, oh, what is this? Am I, you know, getting ready to urinate on myself, or is this something else? You know, and I think that's a very important conversation to have. In terms of the Black community, where do you think we are in terms of having that conversation with our children universally as a Black community?
Universally, we're not there. We're not. Listen, my mother was let me just say this. My mother was a unicorn. Like, she was way ahead of the times because it's taboo. It's
Right.
taboo to talk about things like that. Believe it or not, it's still taboo to talk about the LGBTQ plus community in our community. You know, children coming out saying, you know, I'm gay or I'm bi or I'm non-binary or I don't know what I am or I'm both.
Right.
You know, so it's a taboo conversation, and I just believe that in our community we need to be more open with each other and be more educated. And listen, and a lot of it stems around the culture of our faith and religion.
Right. Absolutely.
It's rooted in that.
Right. It is. Definitely. Definitely. Because I know for me, it seemed as if it were, you know, adultery, fornication.
A sin.
A sin. Yeah, exactly. Because you're not with your partner. You're thinking about someone that doesn't belong to you.
Right.
Or you're fantasizing about, you know, someone that you would like to have. Most women, I think, may think of like Idris Elba in their spare time.
That's my one and only. Only him. Don't ever let me go to Hollywood and get rich. His wife.
Would you say your knees will buckle and you would pass out and faint?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Oh gosh. So yeah, that's interesting. So if someone wanted to purchase products from you, I have the ticker underneath, but you can tell them what is the best way for them to get in contact with you.
So for right now, we are in the process of just building our brand, our website, because it was so private for so long, and a lot of people just didn't want it, you know, above ground. But now it's becoming the norm. So right now, you can find us at divinelydeliciousedibles@gmail.com. Email me, you know, let me know if you're interested in something. I'm going to show the different products that I have in inventory again. They're very reasonable. If you would go to a store, some of these would range from $65 to $95, but everything in my inventory right now is $40.
Oh, 40.
Yes, you do have to pay for shipping, which is probably between $7 and $10, but each product is $40.
And you ship anywhere?
In the United States right now.
Only in the United States.
Yes, only in the United States.
So you Canadians, my Jamaicans, oh my goodness, you're out of luck right now.
Well,
coming soon.
Dr. LaCON, we can make arrangements for your family. For our Jamaican family, because I'm gonna come and visit.
Right. This is, you know what? I'm getting hot over this conversation. I'm like, woo.
Well, let me tell you my favorite.
Okay? Yes, what's your favorite?
So let me show you the box first.
Okay.
It's called
the drum roll.
The Little Tyrannosaurus.
Ooh, the little Tyrannosaurus that could.
Let me say this. It packs a punch.
Oh!
It looks just like this, like a lipstick.
Yes.
Right? Like a lipstick. And then you push it. That's the first level. I don't know if you can hear that.
No, I can't hear that.
It's so quiet, so discreet. Then you push it again.
Oh.
It twirls. The faster it goes.
Now, there's no way a man's penis could twirl that fast.
And Dr. LaCON, let me just say something to you.
What?
Right here. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. That's it. That's it.
For an orgasm.
Yes.
Because of that twirling thing.
And its explosion.
Oh!
Night. Good night.
Now, do men G-spots with men? Let's talk about that.
Okay.
So men, I know we have G-spots.
Yes.
Men, do they have G-spots?
Yes.
Oh, now where are their G-spots?
Now, let me just say this right here. Can be used to find it. In them. Okay. Theirs is located at the tip of their anus once you insert. So a lot of men would probably be like, no, that's not happening. But
Right.
if you have an open gentleman and you guys are private and that is just you and him, you can certainly do that. And it's explosive. It makes the orgasm explosive.
Hmm.
Yep.
So before you use that, men should definitely like have an enema.
All people should. If you let me just say this. If you're gonna have anal play, both female and male, just make sure you're ready.
Clean the house.
Clean the house.
Get your house in order.
Get your house
That
in
back
order.
door in order and clean it.
Go out and buy a shower head. Yes, yes. Make sure you get your house in order. And I even talk about that at a lot of the events, the private events, and you see a couples and a guy would cringe. Oh no, she could never do that. You're not going, no, 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 no. But then when they get behind closed doors, and like I usually get a room, where we can just talk if people want to have a consultation with me. And it's a different story. They have all kinds of questions. Well, how far? And could we just try it with just a finger? Of course. So I mean, you get
Now,
a
how far do you have to go? It depends on the man's body, or is it?
no. Normally, it's just maybe an inch in,
Mhm.
and then you curve just like you curve for a female.
Mhm.
You curve with the male.
Your finger like that?
It feels like the same gristle that you feel on us is the same. It's the same. It's the same.
Interesting.
Yep.
Wow. All
So
right. So
I'm
this has been an interesting conversation. I've been having my drink. Yes, it's drink up. I think I'm getting ready to refill because Lord, this is something. I
any
can't believe.
questions? Let me see. Did we go over everything? I don't think so. Okay, benefit. Then we talked about benefits. The benefits of okay. Here's one. Will I become addicted? So
Yes.
let's talk about that. If you're already a person, behavioral health Dr. Khan, if you're already a person who have addictive personality,
Mm-hmm.
you may want to think about if you're going to become addicted. Do you already masturbate? How often do you masturbate? How often
Mm-hmm.
do you have sex? Are you hypersexual?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to ask yourself those questions. Do you already suffer from sex addiction? So you have to just ask yourself that question.
So you have
But
to be true to thyself.
you have to be true to thine self. Yes. I mean, if you're a healthy individual, regular, no, you will not become addicted. But if you already have an addictive personality, and you know what I'm saying,
Right.
drink a lot, overuse drugs, hypersexual, a lot of sex partners, and you just got to have it,
Mm.
you may have an addiction problem, but it's just not addiction to the pleasure device. It's just, you just have an addictive personality.
Wow. And then how do you know when to get something new? Like do you get tired of that?
I have some clients that is always looking for something new. I have a young lady who has every one of my devices and some that I sold out of.
Mm.
She likes them. Her and her partner, they're open. They're
Mm-hmm.
actually they're polyamorous. And if you don't know what polyamory is,
Mm-hmm.
it's when you are open in a relationship, but every person in that unit is open to each other.
Right. There's
But
no
committed,
commitment.
committed, but committed.
Right. Committed but open.
Yes, yes, within that, and they love to explore within their unit of their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually four of them, and they're always just enjoying themselves, and they're one of the ones that keep having me back in their home. Just educating, entertaining,
Mm-hmm.
and because I make it fun. I dress a certain way, I look a certain way, I
Mm-hmm.
talk a certain way, I put on certain music so that they can have fun, and enjoy themselves. And I don't judge. Um,
Right.
Not at all.
So what's the oldest couple you've worked with?
I have a couple in their 60s,
Oh,
in their mid to late 60s, and
wow.
she's fighting. Listen, you're never too old. You're never too
Wow.
old because sometimes men they get up in age. Yeah, he got to take a half a little blue pill, but she was like, look, it's date night. what you got in
Right.
your repertoire, or what do you suggest?
And
Yep.
I think also for women, because when you go through menopause, certain things happen, and then men, certain things happen. So the pleasure devices can assist in that stage of your life as well. Is that correct? I don't know. I'm
Yes.
just,
No, it is correct. And
mm,
and this in particular couple, sometimes he's just not up for the challenge, and she's high energy. She's
mm.
high energy, and he's like, "Look, Ursula."
No,
You know, sometimes he call me granddaughter. He was like, "Look, I'm one and done." She like, "Hey, it's Friday night. It's date night. What we doing?" So
oh,
he has
wow.
to incorporate, some of the penetrators,
Hmm.
the simulators. So they do both. They do both, and they have no problem talking to me about it. Sometimes he and my, because they could be like my mother and father. So I'm like, okay, guys, that's good. Have fun.
No.
They telling me everything, and I'm like, thank you. All right, just let
That
me know.
that is interesting. And are they married?
They're married. They're married.
Wow.
They're married.
That's something. So
Yep.
let's see what other things I have for you. Let me see here. Am I
What's a good first vibrator?
Yeah, what is a good first one?
I would always say this. Once you're starting out, whether you are uninhibited or not, start out with a clitoris stimulator or something like this, something like my favorite,
Mhm.
because, a lot of people feel like, they can cause damage or, is it safe and stuff like that.
Right.
They are safe. They are beta tested on humans, you know,
Mm.
they go through rigorous, testing, and they're easily washable. They don't hold bacteria if you clean them after every use. You
Right,
know,
and that's important for people. You have to
right.
clean them after every use.
Use.
I can't imagine just ugh, ugh.
Yeah, I mean, don't
It's
throw
like,
it back in the drawer. Don't throw it back in the drawer. Clean it after
right, you're
every.
right. And wrap it up and just wipe it off. Like, no.
Right, don't do that. Don't do that because you don't want to cross contaminate,
Right.
and then you let them air dry. You let them air dry in a nice, discreet place in your home. Try not to let your kids get into it like I did.
When you
You
said
know,
air dry, I'm thinking just sitting on the dresser.
yeah,
Out.
sit in the dresser on top of a paper towel.
Look. Now,
Hmm.
do people give them their devices names? Like that's my Johnny boy.
Sometimes they give them names like it. Hey, Idris.
Oh, wait.
You know, it's me and you tonight. Listen, final
Oh
truth.
gosh.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's amazing that again, like they call this sexual wellness devices, and that you
Mhm.
find this in the wellness aisle.
Yes. Yes, you do. Yes, and you know what? They have them at the different pharmacies. They
Yeah.
have, tell you, I've gone to places like Harmon's, and not to give anybody a plug, but I have been in Harmon's, I have been in CVS, I have been in Walgreens, and they have cock rings, they have
Wait,
stimulators,
wait,
they
wait, wait. Really? With Walgreens? Wait a minute now. I need a drink for that. Is that with Walgreens in the city?
no, like your local Walgreens everywhere.
What?
Everywhere. Everywhere. And they have
I
different
missed that.
kinds. They have different kinds too. Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, I know growing up, there was a store in Georgetown that had, it was a pleasure device stores, and they had the chaps, the leather garments, the whips, and stuff like that. So, do you? Is there different, like the S&M community?
Yeah.
Are there different communities?
There are vast different communities,
Oh,
and it's a vast spectrum of different communities. Okay.
okay.
So you have your BDSM, and
Now,
you
what's that? Wait, what's that?
well, uh, well, the acronyms are bondage, um, dominatrix.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what the S is, but it's
Sadomasochism.
yes, BDSM. So so I have a friend, and I would love for her to come back on and be a guest
Mm-hmm.
where she is in that community. but her niche is, well, she does what her client wants, but her large niche is she dresses up like a 1950s doll, and she just pampers the guy. There's no sex involved. She just, caters to him, cooks him a meal, serves him all kinds of stuff, and she gets paid to do that
And how much does she get paid?
handsomely. She never told me the dollar amount, but it pays her mortgage.
Oh,
This is her only job.
what?
Yes.
To
And
dress up like a doll.
yeah, to dress up like a 1950, like, like I Love Lucy, those little
Yes. Oh, with the poodle skirt.
pinup doll type costumes. And she's beautiful. When I tell you she's gorgeous. But she also has a client that wants her to dress up in the leather, looking like Catwoman and whip. Calling her Madam whatever, and the tall boots and stepping on his back and calling him all kinds of names. And she does it online and she does it in person. And she
does it online. How does she do that online?
You see how we're live?
Uh-huh.
She would call them names and you're a horrible, horrible man and you're good for nothing and
oh,
when a time
so the people in Zoom are seeing a lot of things these days.
Yeah. And so and the person gets off on it and it brings them to erection. It brings them to climax and she gets paid for it. Yep.
Wow.
And she's she's safe. She has a son, she's married, and it's no sex involved. It's just role play. It's just role play. And then there's that hardcore spectrum, which, with the violence and stuff like that, with the choking and tying up and the cutting and stuff. But it to each his own. I don't judge anybody. I really stay out of that background because that playground.
That's not right. And your lane and what you can tolerate. And I think that's very important for everyone to know.
Right. For me, my belief in this, I want it to be a healthy exchange, a healthy experience, a pleasurable experience. Now, some people seek pleasure through pain. That's on you. I do not. Do not.
Right. Yeah. No
pain here. So, and most of my clients feel the same way. I mean, I've only had one couple say to me, they tied each other up and they choked each other to passing out. And I was like, oh, okay, how was that? And they enjoyed it, but they said they don't do it often, but they have their little safe word, and you know what? Also, let me just say this, Lisa, this is also the reason why women got into pleasuring themselves and trying to get their partners to pleasure them too. 50 Shades of Grey, that movie exploded and it opened the minds of people of all walks of life.
So it's a combination of the liberalization of women.
Yes.
Social media.
Yes.
The media, Hollywood in a sense.
Yes.
And then you have communities like the LGBTQ plus.
Yes.
Community. So you have all of these things happening pretty much kind of at the same time.
Yes.
To penetrate the hearts and minds of people to say, you know what, let me try this.
Yes.
So where do you see marriage, traditional marriage in the next couple of years with all of this happening?
Well, I still believe in traditional marriage. So I'm a believer in it. Are people getting married more now than before? No. People are just in relationships, I find. I tell you what, during COVID, there were a lot of divorces.
Right. Yes.
Unfortunately. And that's why also pleasure devices were popular during this time. But, I feel that we as a culture of people, just culture, human beings, the human condition, if we are open, I think some marriages will be saved. If you're able to talk it through, talk about what your needs are, be honest, see a mental health specialist, go talk about it. They have sexologists out there. They have all kinds of books. Google is a world of knowledge. Talk to
Right.
people like myself, talk to people like yourself. Just to, and I've seen some couples that have come to the parties that you could tell it was some tension between them.
Hmm.
After discussing and asking me questions, and just giving them examples of how to bring the spice back in their life, and not just talking about the devices, but talking about relationships.
Right.
Hey, have a mandatory date night twice a month.
Right. That is so. That's
Find a babysitter, but whatever
right.
you do not have anybody interrupt that night.
Right.
Turn your phones down. Hey, heck, leave them at home or leave them in a car, whatever. And
Right.
just have your date night and then have your quiet time when you come back home, and take your time. It's no rush. Take your time.
Yeah, my husband and I, our date night is Thursday night. We've had that for years, date
Okay.
night. And then also what we have done, um, the kids are older, but the saving grace was my mom retired, and she retired at a good, healthy age. So my husband and I, we would have the kids on vacation, and then for 1 week with them on vacation, and then we would take our own vacation by
Mhm.
ourselves for that
Okay.
week. And my mom would watch the kids. And I think that has been a healthy, healthy,
Yeah.
healthy entity in our relationship, because
Yeah.
you kind of lose focus on one another, especially you have children
Hmm.
involved, and your focus is on the children and taking them to basketball games, taking them to this thing, and then you don't even know who the person you are, laying in the bed next to.
Right.
And
Right.
then also, I think a good thing is talking about marriage. Like, you're in this marriage for a long time. The man that I married and the man that married me, I'm not the same person.
Exactly. You grow.
Yeah, right. I changed, he may change. So with that, I think also the idea of change can occur in your bedroom to kind of spice things up.
Exactly. When you grow, let me say this. Okay, so um my desire for future relationship and commitment is that my partner always sees me as desirable.
Mm.
Not, lustful, desirable.
Mhm.
We're in the kitchen cooking together. He pats me on my bottom, or he kisses my neck. Those little things, don't ever lose sight of that.
Mhm.
Hey, grab him from behind and
Oh,
hug.
there's a ding, so we have to drink. There
Are
was a
we?
ding. Okay, I forgot to mention every time there's a ding, we have to drink. All right. Mhm. So you said grab you on the behind. That's
You know, just pat me on behind, kiss me,
uh-huh.
grab him from behind and just hug his chest, and just smell him in and his cologne, and compliment. Let me say something to you about men.
Uh-huh.
Men are very masculine and macho,
Uh-huh.
but they love their women to
Yeah.
compliment them. And we lose sight of that sometimes as professional women. We're
Mm.
hustle and bustle, and we're busy, and good morning, and I see you later, and we cooking dinner, and then, okay, if you have kids, you get the kids ready, and then it's like, okay, I'm so tired. I take a shower, lights out.
Mm.
No, no. When you get home, everybody needs to decompress,
Yes.
go in the kitchen, cook dinner together. You know what I'm saying? Look at each other, give each other those little glances.
Mhm.
You know what? You had a great suit on today, babe. Oh, you
Mhm.
wearing that dress.
Right.
Do the little pats, and then text each other throughout the day, because I find that it's very easy to take each other for granted.
And not just text like, "What's for dinner?"
Right.
Not
And
text like, "Where are you?
yeah,
What's happening?"
yeah, I'm thinking about you.
Right.
All kinds of little, I can't wait to get, later on tonight,
Right.
you're gonna have that pillow talk, you know what I'm
And what
saying?
about sending pictures, nude pictures?
Well, see,
No.
let me say something to you. I'm not a prude. However, I'm a conspiracy theory, so I'm always thinking Big Brother's watching from that
Right,
movie.
yeah.
Like,
Uh-oh, here's another one. Gotta take another sip.
oh yes.
Okay, another thing. Ding.
No,
Mhm.
I mean, I don't knock it. Some people do it. Some couples do it. Some couples love it. I just, I'm just a little bit reserved, because
Yeah.
oh, people don't know my status. I'm newly single. And I'm out here, so I don't want to say.
Uh-oh. Madam Devon is single.
Yes.
Oh. Okay, let me drink to that. Okay.
Yes, she is. And so I am not open to sending guys any pictures. I had someone most recently ask me to send something. I was like, no, I don't know like that. If
Because
you
you
ever,
don't know what he would do with those pictures.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So be careful out there, everybody, please. And
Yes.
if you're in the dating field, if you're in the dating world, please be careful. Please be
Well,
careful.
this has been
I think it's fun. I think if you've had a long term committed relationship and you're married, or you've been in a long term committed relationship and you got a partner, I think it's fun. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But if you're just out here dating, beware.
So, what are your top 3 things for, say, for instance, married couples to keep the spice in the relationship?
Communication,
Communication.
right? Communication. And what the reason why communication is at the top is because you have to continue to let your partner know what you like
Mm.
or what you're curious about,
Mm-hmm.
and see where their head is at. I don't
Mm-hmm.
care if it's 1 year, 5 years, 7, 15, 20, 25, 45, 50.
Mm-hmm.
Always communicate with your partner,
Mm-hmm.
and be interested in them, just to keep it interesting. Like, you know, for me, having a partner, if I had a partner, you would, I like to talk. I'm a communicator.
Okay.
Okay. So, but I'm also a very sensual individual.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Pisces.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm very sensual and I'm very comfortable in my skin, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I was reared that way. I was reared to be comfortable in my skin and to be confident, no matter what size I was or whatever. Doesn't matter.
Right.
I was just always confident and comfortable in my skin. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm very comfortable with talking about sex and talking about sensuality. It's not only
Right.
sex, but it's also about sensuality. And it doesn't have to be rushed.
Right.
So communication, what you like, hand over hand. Like I used to be a teacher of special needs kids, and we used to do
Mm.
hand over hand stuff. So sometimes, ladies, if he not touching it right, you take your hand and put it over his hand and you show him what feels good to you.
Well, oh my gosh, it's so interesting because I had the opportunity to interview a blind musician.
Okay.
He's an artist and things of that nature. So I asked him, do you, how can you tell when you're physically attracted to someone? Because he's blind. Like, how can you tell?
Right.
And he said, the ladies of today, they take his hand and put it, like you said, hand to hand, and put his hand on their body, like their breasts,
Yeah. Hand
their
over hand.
stomach, their buttocks, and and he filled their face and stuff like that. He was like, it's not like in the movies where he
It's
does
just,
it.
yeah. Yeah.
They guide his hand over their body.
Everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah. Hand over hand. It can happen for the sighted too.
that's right.
Yes. Because sometimes they be missing the mark. I mean, let's just be honest. You know what I mean? Like, oh, man. Like, no, that's not it. So, you have to be comfortable as a female within yourself, and your partner has to be comfortable to not get offended. And just
Now,
make
how do you tell your partner that's not it? You don't want to say, yo, that's not
no,
it. Like,
you
how
don't
do you?
say those words. You think it in
Right.
your head, but you don't say those words. You go, oh, hey, let me show you something.
Mhm.
And then you do hand over hand. You're like, yeah, I like it like that. Like you say certain things like that to make them feel good. And then
Mhm.
once they get it, you encourage them. Yeah, you got it. That's,
Right.
they'll stop, like stuff
Mhm.
like that. So communication, open dialogue, let them know what you like, what you don't like. Ask their likes and wants and needs.
Right. It's reciprocal.
It's reciprocal. We didn't even
Right.
touch on oral tonight. We only talked about devices. So this is going to be like a whole series, Dr.
Yes.
LaCON. I hope you to have me back.
Oh, I definitely,
Yes. So
definitely,
we can
because we
talk
didn't
more
even
about it.
really, this is the tip of the iceberg.
Yes. Yes. I hope we talk way more about it because it's just so many ways and so many things that you can explore in the bedroom with devices, with just yourselves. I mean, we could talk about hundreds of things, Karma Sutra, all kinds of stuff, breathing techniques, just a plethora of things to talk about. And then another topic in our community is oral. A lot of our and I say our because I have, I have history and family. Some of my Caribbean men don't believe in it.
Oh, they don't believe in orally
Oral.
stimulating a woman.
Yeah.
Okay. Like her clitoris.
Yes.
Okay.
Them putting their mouths on her.
Right.
And black men as well. I mean, it's almost taboo. So that's just a little snippet.
So that's interesting that you would say that, because I know we're almost running out of time, but that's interesting. Do you believe that? Okay, so it's reciprocal.
It has to be
reciprocal. If we don't tell our men what we like,
yeah,
they're not going to do it.
Right.
And then we end up buying toys.
True.
Please us, because we haven't been open with them.
Right.
Also. So it's kind of like it's a very interesting dynamic.
Yes.
That communication is key. So if you communicate with a man and he says, I ain't doing it, should you just walk away or walk to the store and get your own device? And like what?
Listen, if he just shuts you down first out the gate, you see, I'm the type of female. I go, why?
Right.
Like, you want me to please you, right? Like, men love. I was gonna say
that was another one. We had to take another. Okay, that was another thing.
Yeah, men love head. I mean, if I say it like that, but you go, okay, so why you like for me to do that? Why can't you be open to pleasing me? So it has to be about the other individual and selflessness.
Now, is it selflessness or they're ignorant about how they may not? Do you think they know where it is?
Some are intimidated and they don't want to admit that they don't know where it is. But here's the thing, you as the female need to know where it is for yourself.
Right.
If you have not taken a mirror or if you haven't explored your own body, then that's where you need to start first.
Right. And I think that is key. Exploring our bodies, because it's the one thing that God gave to us. And we talked about it and we mentioned it. It has to be God, because the clitoris has so many nerves in that little thing.
Oh my God.
There's no other. I'm not a medical doctor.
We didn't even touch on everything. It's so many orgasms. It's so many different types of ways you can orgasm. You don't only have a G spot. You got an A spot. You got a B spot. Man, for real. I mean, we could talk about it for hours.
Yes.
That's why it should be a series. I mean, definitely have me back. We can talk about some other things. We could put out just some things that we would like to talk about and get some fillers for questions. I'm certain that some of the viewers tonight, some of the people, the urbanites here probably are like, their heads are spinning like, oh my God, they talked about everything,
But we have not.
So we just touched the surface of sensuality, sexuality, why women are turning to toys or, pleasure devices, for many, many different reasons, for their own self gratification.
Another thing.
And just wanting to please themselves.
Right. Wow. So you know what, Madam Divine, we're going to have you back.
Yeah.
And then yes, absolutely. Because this is very important. This really is, because there's so much stigma tied to sexual activity, pleasure devices, things of that nature. And then if we're not educated, because a long time ago, I used to be a health educator.
Okay.
So that was during the height of HIV/AIDS. So I had to learn about, the female anatomy, the reproductive system, the male reproductive system. And that's, I don't know if it's the right way, but that's how I taught my children about sex, through a biological lens.
You sound like my mom. She
pulled,
she pulled the books out. It had diagrams. They had pictures. I'm looking at the book like, is my mom really showing me a picture of a naked body? But okay, let me listen, So, I mean, I just love that about her, and that's the way to go, Lisa. I mean, I tell you, I commend you for doing it with your kids. Like I
Yeah.
said, my mom was way ahead of the game.
Yeah, I wasn't shy about that
Yeah,
because I think I had that experience as a health educator and I
right.
knew about, the female anatomy and things of that nature and blah, 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 the male anatomy. And it's always been I've always been intrigued by it.
Yeah.
So if someone wanted to be a sexologist, what does that entail?
Okay, so you have your consultants like myself, where
Okay.
I did different certifications over the years, but then you actually have doctors of
Mm-hmm.
sexology and behavioral health. So
Right.
it depends on how deep you want to go. It
Mm-hmm.
depends on how deep you want to go. So,
Wow.
but I am self-taught. I'm not going to profess that I am a doctor of sexology. It
Mhm.
definitely came from the organization that I worked for when I
Mhm.
was in my early 30s. Um, and they sent you to seminars. You had to learn about different things, the anatomy. They did do a behavioral health component where they wanted to make sure that you would be good at counseling. But I
Right,
had
because
already
there is counseling involved in this. There is a part of, a therapeutic component.
it
Like you
is.
were saying about your friend dressing up, that's
Yeah.
therapy
Yes.
for, her client.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, she when I say she does so many role plays, she also has a character who's a mom
Mm,
where she has
with a
clients.
belt and spanks them. No, I'm joking. No.
No, no, they have a giant bottle and they dress up in a diaper and she rocks
What?
them
Wait.
and sings to them and puts them to sleep and
Oh,
yeah.
what the
So she has what I love about her is she just doesn't do one form. She has
right.
many different. Like if you want her straight up goth and black and stuff, that's what she does. If you
Mm.
want her on the other spectrum, wholesome housewife, she does that. She's very talented. She's
Because
very
I think the reality is of that people who may need that,
yeah.
I really believe if they don't have that safe outlet, they could become very mentally unbalanced and
Yes,
begin to harm people and
yes.
harm things. You know what I mean? Like if they don't have that, that's where I think a lot of the serial killers kind of can come
Oh,
into play.
okay. Yeah. I mean, well, she definitely is a mental health provider. Um,
Mhm.
she feels that that's what she is.
Right.
Help
Mhm.
people with their fantasies, but also with where they are
Right,
mentally.
stabilizing
Yeah.
their mental capacity and their mental wellness.
And these people are wealthy people. These
Of
people are
course.
businessmen. These people, I mean, she has not told me her clientele, but some of them are stars. Some people are because she's out in California.
And the same
So,
thing with a therapist confidentiality.
yes.
It's the same thing. Like these are your clients,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
there's a nature of being confidential with how you are assisting them in their mental wellness.
Right. And she never has told me their names or who they
Right.
are. She just says, here's a scenario of what I do. And that's it.
Right.
And she leaves it at that. And I can respect that. I can respect that.
Yeah, I would love to speak with her to find out more like how she got started in this and things of that nature because also for me an interest in me for me is because I'm in workforce development. There's so many careers out there that you don't
Let
think
me
about.
let me tell man, I could tell you so much. I am learning so much. And what you'll know about me is I love to learn. I'm a natural born educator, but I'm a natural born life learned student.
Yes.
And I'm always open to learning new things. I may not agree with it for my own personal life,
Right.
but I'm going to learn it because somebody out there may want to hear it. So,
Right.
and
Exactly.
that's just who I am. That's just who I am.
All right. So this has been, I'm telling, usually, you know what? I usually stay on for 30 minutes tops, but this one I see an hour and 15 minutes because there's just so much to talk about. So
Yeah.
before we close, a couple of things. I need you all, my urbanites, to like, share, and subscribe to this page. And also, Madam Divine, how can they get in contact with you once again?
divinelydeliciousedibles@gmail.com. That is the best way. I will look at the email. If you want me to give you your number, I will text you privately. I just don't want my phone number out there just yet.
Right.
I'm looking to get a business phone number.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So are there any final thoughts about this discussion or?
Yeah, be open. Be open. Google. If you have questions, you can send me questions and we can chat back and forth. I am on Instagram, Divine and Delicious Edibles. It is mostly a food page, but I have people in my inbox asking me questions all the time that have been at private events that has purchased some of my merchandise.
Okay. So you do cupcakes and Tyrannosauruses. So you have a cupcake in one hand and Tyrannosaurus in.
Yes. So I'm using devices. No, again.
You can do the cupcake frostings in that color.
Yes. Yes. Well, actually, blue and white are my favorite colors. But
I hear that. Yes.
Anybody. So you have that one, and then you have the rabbit. Which is a monster. I don't mess with this one.
Ooh, that thing looks like that's painful.
It's not. It's not. I mean, I gotta beta test everything. Everything is not for everybody, but it works. It works.
So I'm looking forward to our next conversation. This has been a pleasure. Urbanites, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned. And until next time, thank you so much for coming into the Urban Suite. I will see you next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yes. Thank you. And thank you again, Madam Divine. Yes. All right. Awesome.
Good night.
Good night.